Hello and welcome to MetroArts. I'm your host, Larry Wallace. Here on MetroArts, we highlight some of the best in the business, from fine artists, photographers, and performing artists to cinematographers and musical artists, all from the Metro Detroit area. On today's show, we'll learn about Rebel Nell, an organization that empowers women through the creation of jewelry. We'll explore the photography of C-J Benninger, and the indie band Empty Houses will perform in studio. Rebel Nell is an organization created to empower women through artistic creation. We have a video, let's watch.
We are here to break things. Barriers that close us in. Habits that do us no favors. Misconceptions that tell us we are less than we are. But mostly, we are here to rebuild things. Nobody gets to tell us what we're capable of doing, how far we can go, why it matters. We are Rebel Nell. We employ women to embolden them to see their own worth, to empower them to exercise their genius, to emancipate them from the tyranny of what is not expected of them. Our jewelry is our voice. Fallen street art, risen from the rubble, forged through fierce determination, declaring, I am one of no other kind. We are a community built on sisterhood. We are a movement built on purpose. We are rebels. We are Rebel Nell.
Our first guest on MetroArts is Amy Peterson, the co-founder of Rebel Nell. Welcome to MetroArts, Amy.
Thank you, I'm happy to be here.
So I felt so connected to that video, and I'm really interested to know about the origins of Rebel Nell.
Sure, so Rebel Nell really started with the sole purpose of employing, educating, and empowering women who are transitioning out of shelter living. So we started with the concept of a way to provide them not only with employment, but all the wraparound services that they need in order to live a self-sufficient and independent life. And that was really the catalyst for starting Rebel Nell and coming up with our crazy concept for making jewelry out of graffiti.
And how did you guys come up with the idea of creating jewelry from graffiti?
You know, it's kind of a crazy concept, one I never really expected, but I was out one day running on the DeQuinder Cut, a well-known bike path here in Detroit, and I found some graffiti chips that had fallen off the wall, brought them back, talked to my co-founder, and I said, I think we have an idea here. What if we're able to turn this into beautiful works of wearable art and also create jewelry that's really teachable and fairly easy to produce so that the women that we hire can actually make it and have each piece be a reflection of not only them, to be really a reflection of themselves and their vision into every single piece that they select.
Now let's talk specifically about some of the obstacles that disadvantaged women in Detroit face, and how do Rebel Nell create solutions for these?
Yeah, so really, when going into the shelter and talking to the women, what we found is there's so many challenges that they've overcome or left behind in search of a better opportunity, not only for themselves, but for their families. We heard a lot of not physical, emotional, and financial abuse. And so we want to really create a solutions-based organization that helps really tackle these issues at their core. So we do provide a lot of financial literacy, business education, life wellness, housing resources, legal aid, and whatever else that they need to really address the issues and help them overcome barriers that have been prohibitive in the past.
Okay, now we mentioned earlier how the product comes from graffiti. How would you say you guys design these things?
It's the best part. So what we do is we'll go pick up the graffiti once it crumbles off the walls in Detroit. We take it back to the shop and we take it through a special process to reveal all the layers. And the women have complete creative freedom to cut whatever color patterns and shapes speak to them. So once they cut it out, we put it on silver or whatever the metal is of choice. We have silver, we have some gold filled and brass. And then we put a protective resin on top to really protect the actual paint, as well as to bring out bring vibrancy to the colors.
It must be creativity involved in this, of course, creating this. And I know you brought some pieces with you today. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, I'd love to. So what we have a lot of here are signature pieces, which really is where the women they're able to create whatever shapes really speak to them. We have for some more standardized sizes that you see, but the beauty is that even with the standardized sizes, every piece is truly unique because of the cross section of graffiti and because of the woman who made it. So no piece is ever identical to another.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the rings. I see one that jumps out at me, this little blue one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about these.
Yeah, so these are our sterling silver bezel pieces, and what they do is we have the graffiti in there that's punched out, and then there's a nice resin on top that really adds to the sheen and brings out the colors for the graffiti.
Now, how long does it usually take to create, let's say, a ring?
Yeah, our rings usually are we can make about 7 an hour. Our bigger pieces that are more labor intensive, those can take up to 3 to 4 hours to produce.
Oh, wow. And do you have a favorite piece?
I actually have a strict rule that I can only wear a piece until somebody buys it off me. Because otherwise I would walk out of there every day with a new piece because I fall in love with every single one of them.
Okay. And is there anything else you would want viewers to know about your organization?
Yeah, I would encourage people to check out our website. It's rebelnell.com. And also, we've just launched a nonprofit arm called T, which is Teaching, Empowering, Achieving, to really help us better address the issues that have been challenges for the women in the past. So it really adds to their educational services.
Okay, cool. Well, Amy, I want to thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure interviewing you. I love your pieces.
Thank you so much. I had joy being here as well.
Thank you. You're watching MetroArts on Detroit Public Television. And now, let's welcome C-J Benninger to MetroArts Detroit. Welcome.
Hi, Larry. Thanks for having me.
So, C-J, you've been in the business for over 15 years. Tell me, how did you get started?
Well, I first started in photography my junior year of high school. Somebody told me I could take the Intro to Black and White class, sleep through it, and get an A, which sounded pretty great to me. So I ended up taking the class, but I loved it. So I went on and took the Intro to Color class, and then my senior year I took Advanced Black and White and Color. Went on to college and then started assisting as soon as I got out, and then started getting my own clients a couple years later, and I've just never looked back. I really am not sure what else I'd be doing if I wasn't being a photographer.
For sure. Now, I'm really interested to know, what kinds of works do you focus on within photography?
Well, I photograph people and products and automotive, but my favorite by far is working with people. I really love portraiture. I like doing studio portraiture, but I really love environmental portraiture, going into a location and looking at it and finding the most interesting place to place my subject and get the image that I'm looking for to tell the story that I'm trying to tell is what I really, really enjoy doing.
So you mentioned how your favorite subject is people, and now tell me, how did you discover that passion?
Well, I mean, it was in high school. When I took the first class, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. You just kind of go through and start. They say, all right, go out, shoot a roll of film, and see what you get. And so I went out, and you go out and you photograph your friends, and I really like photographing people. It just kind of made sense to me.
Yeah. Now, I really want to know, how do you juggle your personal life? You have a wife, you're a father of 3, and you're also a professional photographer. How do you handle all of these things?
It's not easy. To say that we're busy every day is an understatement. You know, I have 5-year-old twins, and the youngest will be 2 very soon. But we have a lot of family support, really great support system. My wife's mother and aunt are over on a regular basis, helping with the kids, taking them to appointments. The 2 oldest are in preschool, and bottom line, we just always make it work, whether it's a small editorial shoot that's only going to take me a couple hours, or if I have to go out of town for a week to shoot an advertising gig, it has to get done, so we find a way to make it work.
Cool. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your latest project, which is photo pop prints?
Yeah, so photo pop prints started as a photo of these donuts, which I wanted to make for my wife for Valentine's Day. We both really love donuts, and so I went to our favorite place, which is right by our house, Avon Donuts, and picked up a dozen and brought them home and took them into my office, and I set this up. And then I surprised her on Valentine's Day morning, and this was hanging on the wall. And after this, when people would come over, they would see it, and a lot of people really like it, and they would say, I really like that. Can I have a print of that? We don't have enough room on our wall for something that big, but can you make a smaller print? And of course I could. So my wife and I got to talking after that, and we started thinking, why don't we, come up with a collection of images that is kind of catered to one style. Yeah. So after this, I started photographing my son's Matchbox cars, and just kind of kept going from there.
So aside from the donut piece, you've also brought this piece with gummy bears. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so this is doing the quick math while I'm sitting here. It looks like there's 190 on there, but it's really intricate work when you're placing a lot of pieces and trying to measure it out and make it all look as equal as possible. So it's very time consuming and tedious, but at the end of it, you have a real feeling of accomplishment because I've created this, and but it's setting one up and setting them up in a row and lining everything up, and then looking through the camera and seeing, well, this one's off a little bit. I'm going to need to twist this a little bit, or we've got two here that are too close. Let's move those apart, or let's switch these colors up, and just kind of getting there. To go back to the race cars that I was talking about, it's the same thing. It's putting a yardstick out and lining everything up on that on one side, and then the other side, and pulling the yardstick out and putting it in and creating the rows. And there's also an image of dinosaurs that I did as well, tiny little dinosaurs, and it's the same thing. It's getting a general area in your frame where you think everything is going to go,
for sure, and
placing it down, and then looking through and saying, nope, we got to twist this 1/4 inch. No, there's two pterodactyls right next to each other. Let's move this one over here and over there. So you try and make sure that everything seems equal, and by the end of it, you've spent hours arranging tiny little things, but it feels really nice when you're finished.
Now, where could people find out more information about your artwork?
My commercial work, you can go to photocj.com, and for the photo pop prints, you can go to photopopprints.com. We also have an Instagram, just @photopop_prints, and a Facebook page as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, CJ, I want to thank you so much for being here. Your work is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Up next, let's enjoy additional images of his work. You're watching MetroArts, produced for Detroit Public Television at Wayne State University. And now, let's welcome the band Empty Houses to the Midtown studio in MetroArts. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
So, how did the band begin?
We'd been working on it for a few years. I was in school on the other side of the state, and we would kind of send ideas back and forth, and it was kind of just a side project for a while until we decided to kind of go for it a little bit further.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the background story of the name?
Yeah, it actually was part of a lyric of an early song that we had been working on, and for some reason just kind of stuck and felt to make sense of capturing kind of the right vibe of what we were going for.
And how would you describe your genre of music?
Genres are kind of hard to fall directly into these days, but you know, for what other people have described, kind of like a retro soul pop fusion of things.
For sure. And who would you say as a band are some of your biggest inspirations?
We're inspired by a lot of different types of music, especially being from Detroit. There's so many different genres and movements that have happened here, so just kind of blending all of those things together to make our own kind of unique style.
Okay, cool. And if you could name one specific band that's an inspiration, what would it be?
I don't know, I guess just in general,
Yeah.
Motown and kind of that old style of feel-good music, just anybody from that era.
For sure.
Kind of.
And what projects are you guys working on as of right now?
Right now we're working on some new songs and kind of just going single by single to just develop and take our time with projects a little bit.
And if you could give one piece of advice to anyone seeking to start a band, what would it be?
I would say that there's no right way to do it, to just find your own way through it and stay true to what you want to do and what you want to create.
Okay, and you guys are going to perform some songs for us today.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about each?
Yeah, the first one is a new song called You and I that we just released. The second one's called Daydream from our first full-length album named Daydream.
And what was the inspiration behind both pieces?
The first song was kind of newer. You know, I think it was just the idea of all of these things in your life that come together well when you, I don't know, I have a hard time putting that one into words. I did not write that song, so I take a different meaning of it than I think they do as well. And the second song was one of the first ones that we ever developed years ago that kind of just stuck with us for a long time.
Cool. And as a band, do you guys have a specific favorite song?
Oh, I think everybody would say something different depending on kind of what mood you're in, you know, but we like them all.
Definitely. And where can people find out more information about the Empty Houses?
We have a website, emptyhousesband.com. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, all the things.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I look forward to your performance.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And now, here's the Empty Houses. You're watching MetroArts, produced at the Midtown Studio at Wayne State University.
Always something deal to me. Troubling past and giving up best and spinning around while I add to this madness. Gotta keep strong, jump on everything out the gate. of what was left to die. The dancing fireflies took me to the road you didn't have to go. It seemed like time was slowing down. Suddenly the sun began to drown. An empty hollow sound echoed on the lake. I'm feeling far away. I had this comfort built up inside. It was a good place for me to hide. But lately I'm going out of my mind. 'Cause maybe it wasn't all of the time. Oh, and I cried all night thinking about it. I'm trying to convince myself that I'm alright living without it. Every night there was something beyond both of us. We might have rigged the game, but I'll remember you the same. And I cried all night thinking about it. Been trying to convince myself that I'm alright living without it all the time. And I cried all night thinking about it. I know you wanna let go. Now I'm alright living without it.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. I'd like to thank our guests, Amy Peterson from Rebel Nell, C-J Benninger, and the band Empty Houses for being here today. Remember, you can watch any of our shows online at MetroArtsDetroit.com and find us on social media. I'm your host on MetroArts, Larry Wallace, reminding you to always support the arts and cultivate the talent in your community.